The theories and knowledge and practice which come together to help a teacher become a reflective practitioner also have a moral and an ethical dimension to them. As teachers working in a social context, the moral and ethical dimension of reflective practice is important to us and should not be overlooked. And in terms of understanding this particular dimension to reflective practice, the starting point really are our attitudes as teachers to the profession of teaching and to teaching and learning. Our attitudes include things like open-mindedness. This is important for the reflective practitioner because it underpins our beliefs about the diversity of our students, the intellectual, the social, and of course the other dimensions of diversity that we can be working with when we're in a classroom with groups of people. Another aspect of open-mindedness that we need to embrace as reflective practitioners is humility. We really must remember that teaching for the reflective practitioner is a process which is not one way but two way. The reflective practitioner is learning from and with the learners, with the students, as much as they are learning from the teacher. And therefore this does require open-mindedness and humility in order to be honest with ourselves about the mistakes that we're making and about the direction that we're travelling in. Another attitude which is significant for the ethical and moral dimension of reflective practice is that we are very caring about our students, and we have hope for them in terms of their learning, in terms of their futures. What we're doing with them in the classroom every day is preparing them for their future, for 5 years, for 10 years, for 50 years hence. And therefore that's a very great responsibility for us, and part of the attitude which underpins the process of reflective practice. Another attitude which is significant for the reflective practitioner to be aware of through this moral and ethical dimension is the sense of responsibility that we have as reflective practitioners. We need to consider the consequences of our actions in the classroom. Our actions, our experiments with our practice, the approaches, the strategies we use are always for the good of the students, not just for the sake of personal development. And therefore the responsibility is there that we're always looking at the consequences of our actions. The consequences should always be positive and good. And there is also a responsibility that we're developing from the experiences that we're having, that we're making meaning for ourselves as professionals in terms of the teacher-learner interaction, and how this comes together for the reflective practitioner as a professional. There's also an attitude of engagement, or in other words, wholeheartedness. The reflective practitioner is somebody who is being very critical, asking questions about their role as a teacher. And what this means is that we need a certain curiosity about our professional role, about the subject that we teach, and about the pedagogy of that subject, and the impact of our approaches on teaching and learning and on the students. And therefore this wholeheartedness is part of the underpinning moral and ethical dimension of reflective practice. And then of course we need to remember that for the reflective practitioner, that teaching is very much an art. It's individual to the teacher, but is far-reaching in terms of its impact, and therefore it can be directed and guided in any particular way by the reflective practitioner. And so therefore it is something which is very much developed over time and evolves along with the teacher. And so this moral and ethical dimension of reflective practice realizes that the teacher, the reflective practitioner, is a growing and evolving professional.